an artist. Now what? VFX, it's number one, it's don't go to VFX to be famous. You're not going to be famous in VFX. Now, VFX artists, you can tell who the VFX, you go to the movie theater, you can tell who the VFX artists are. If it's not a Marvel movie and they're still there looking at the credits like this,
yeah,
that means they're looking for their name. Or they're looking for somebody they know. Especially if you're in the hotbeds. You're in Toronto, LA, Vancouver. Somebody's there at the movie theater. They're looking like this. And it's not a Marvel movie. They're most likely a VFX artist because they're looking for their name in the credits. Yeah. And it does feel great when you see your name in the credits. But your job as a VFX artist is not to be seen. The job of a VFX artist, of VFX in general, is to supplement the story, right? To fill in the blanks. You're not supposed to know those things are VFX. If they do, it's either it's a big sci-fi thing where it can't possibly be real, or you didn't do your job properly. That means people look like, that doesn't look like a tree, right? Right? But they're supposed to look at it and say, hey, that's a real tree. They went out into the forest there, and that's a real tree there. A job of a VFX artist is to be invisible. I call it, I always tell my students, we're Houdini. Yeah. We're magicians. We make you believe the unbelievable at the same time. So it's not a place where you go and say, hey, look at my art. It's not. It's a completely different job. But it is cool to say, hey, I worked on this Avengers movie. I worked on this Star Wars movie. Yeah. People won't know what you did, but you could just say, hey, I worked on this, right? And that's cool. Like, unless you did like concept art where you have something to show, really, other VFX artists, they don't really have anything to show, right? Until you show you the breakdown and show how you actually did the shots, right? And nobody really sees that unless they're looking for it.
Like at the same time. Reel, would you say? Or
demo reel, or you see the breakdown from the studio. Oh, look, we did this thing like Stagecraft, right? Like they look at that you don't know about it unless you see a documentary on the Stagecraft. What was actually real, what wasn't, and a lot of people like to be experts because they heard something on Twitter or something like that about how VFX is done. Most of the time they're wrong, right? And that, like for example, let me give you an example. It's like I remember when Star Wars: The Force Awakens first came out. And then everyone was going crazy, like because the prequels, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, too much CG. The CG is horrible."
Very impressive.
I'd hoped you would be pleased.
For the time, it was excellent. For the time, but there's like, "Oh, everything's practical. Oh, Force Awakens, all practical. And so I'm watching this trailer, right? And I'm like, okay. I'm watching it in the point of VFX artists. I'm like, okay, this shot here. I would say this point would be all VFX, but they're saying it's practical, so maybe they built out a little bit further. Nope, everything I thought was VFX in that trailer. They're just saying it just so people are happy. Right? Like, nah, this is the exact same amount of VFX. They're just saying it.
That's funny.
No, they do things, of course, like they'll do like more animatronics type stuff. They'll do that. Like, for example, in Rogue One, they had that one character that was all animatronic. I forgot his name. He's like this alien, and he opened his mouth like this. Looks really cool. Looked really cool. But there are shots where I know that was digital as well, right? So it's a mix of both, and that's what VFX is. It's a way for us to fool you into thinking what you think is real. The job of VFX artist is makes you sit down and fully be engulfed in the story itself, and say the landscapes look beautiful, but you want to be a part of the story to supplement the story, not the other way around.